There were so many stories that were in the news over the weekend that were on par with exactly what we're discussing. And I'm sure you guys saw this one about the Tennessee cops gone wild. I think it's the only way to describe it. Cops gone wild, particularly a woman named Maegan Hall, a 26-year-old of the Laverne Police Department in Tennessee, who was recently fired after a probe found out that she engaged in sexual relationships with multiple officers. Wait, it gets better. Maegan Hall performed oral sex on colleagues while on duty, had affairs, and proposed threesomes with another officer and his wife, and whipped off her bikini at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party. Colleagues on second shift also noted Hall's drinking and harbored fears about her mental health. They reported that she had unloaded her weapon and dry fired the gun at her head so she could hear what it sounded like. And she admitted not reporting that to anybody. Long story short, she then claimed that she was in an open marriage and she tried to recruit her sheriff's deputy husband of 4 years, Jedidiah Hall, that's her husband, for swinging sessions. But apparently her husband is clean cut. Jedidiah is actually the son of a pastor, and he was not really on board and instead confronted his wife of 4 years for cheating, according to the report. An update to that story is that the husband essentially said that he wanted to work on their marriage despite this scandal. And it doesn't sound like they are going to get a divorce. And this kind of led to a very big debate online, namely, by the way, with Michael Knowles, not only just a colleague, not only just a podcaster and show host here at Daily Wire, but also the godfather to my sweet little baby girl, Louise. And Michael and me have different perspective on this. And so we're going to fight, Michael. Okay, so Michael tweets this. First, somebody tweets at him and says, Michael, is this a good enough reason for a divorce? This is not a troll. It is a question. I am being sincere. And the reason I was going to Michael is obviously a very faithful Catholic, and he says the church does not believe that there are any grounds for a divorce, and he is correct that is the Catholic Church's teachings. Michael Knowles responds to that individual, and he says, strange as it may sound to our modern culture, nope, he does not believe that this is grounds for a divorce. Her having sordid sexual romps with her colleagues and having threesomes against the desires of her husband. I'm just going to say, as a side, I think the husband is lying and saving face by saying that he wasn't really on board. I think clearly they were in some sort of open arrangement, because if you were not on board with this at all, and then you found out that your wife was sleeping with multiple men in the department and having threesomes, you would definitely not say, it's time to move on from this scandal and we're going to work on our marriage. You would be absolutely livid. You would fly into a rave. I mean, there are stages of grief and stuff. And the fact that he's just like, oh, let's just move on, and I'm not really on board, seems a little shady to me. But to Michael's commentary, that it is not grounds for a divorce, I tried to understand it, because as you guys know, I'm not Catholic, I am Protestant. My husband is as deeply faithful in the Catholic faith, in his Catholicism, as Michael Knowles, and they're great friends. And I asked him, like, what is Michael talking about? This sounds so crazy to me. And obviously, it's not biblical. In Matthew's, it very clearly states in the Bible, except for adultery, right? And Michael kind of views this to be pish-posh Protestantism and very new age. And I think what he's getting at, and what I'm hoping he's getting at, is that the Catholic faith would say that this is grounds for an annulment. And my husband said, yes, this would be grounds for an annulment, right? Which in the Catholic faith means that the marriage never existed. So you can go and you can get your marriage annulled, and basically you're just saying, actually, this marriage never took place, which would then allow you to become remarried. And so I think what he has a fundamental disagreement with is the concept of divorce, which is a bit different, and which I think we can all agree is fickle. You can just, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, you can just divorce somebody on the grounds that you were 20 minutes late to work. Like, you were stuck in some traffic, maybe grab a Starbucks, and you can say, I'm divorcing this person. And the Catholic faith protects against that, because in order to get your marriage annulled, which would mean that you're allowed to get married again, you'd have to have a legitimate reason. My husband is beating me. My wife just had an affair with 6 of her colleagues at work. Again, I hope that's what Michael Knowles means. I hope it doesn't mean that it's not even grounds to want out, or to want the marriage to be annulled whatsoever. We are out to Michael Knowles. I went out to his people. Turns out his people are my people, so it wasn't hard to get in touch with him. But he's actually traveling to Europe today, so we were not able to have him on the show to discuss. But I do disagree. I think that this man should end his marriage with her. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that there are some reasons to end a marriage, because if you are saying the opposite and you're saying that no matter what, you should always stay together, no matter what, if he's beating you in the face day in and day out, if he's beating your children day in and day out, and on top of that, he's cheating on you with 7 women, then what you're saying is that it's just a label that you wear for the rest of your life, and actually the vows that you take have absolutely no meaning. The vows that you take in front of your friends and family and under God mean nothing. It's just all about just staying in it no matter what, even if you're living in separate homes. And so I know that is not what Michael Knowles means, and I would hope that he would think that this is grounds for an annulment. We will see what Michael Knowles thinks, because I'm sure he'll hear this and then he'll get back to me on his show, and we'll just keep talking via our shows. All right, guys, next portion of the show is going to be available exclusively on Daily Wire Plus. I'll be reading your comments and giving my thoughts on workplace pet peeves, fashion faux pas, and child support. So if you're not a member yet, go ahead and click the link in the description and subscribe right now.